Hi friends, welcome back. I hope you can hear me clearly now. Please confirm over the chat so that we can continue with our class. So please confirm me over the chat if you can hear me so that we can start quickly. Okay, I think Maruti Raj has confirmed that he is able to hear me properly. So we are starting now. So I think few there were few doubts on the previous chat. So I would request you to please retype the question in this chat because those chats are not available now. The previous link is not working. So please retype your question in the chat window and I will answer that. Okay. So there's a question from Murthy. He's telling that my doubt is can I host a website in EC2 instance for continuous 750 hours per month, or is there any restriction per day as a running instance? No, there is no limit on daily basis. It's like monthly limit. So you can have a multiple server also, but suppose you are keeping any server running 24 by 7 and multiplied by 30 days, it will become almost like 720. And if the month has 31 days, then it is almost like 750, right? So make sure that number of instances you run, the total number of running hours should not cross the limit of 750 hours per month. Every month you will get the new limit of 750, but limit will not carry forward. If you are not consuming in the first month, does not mean that you will get a higher limit in the next month. The limit will remain 750 for each month. I hope I answered your question, Murthy. Okay, I'm coming back to our EC2 Connect system. So what we do is we have the instance list, right? So you can select the instance, whichever you want to connect to, and then there is option connect. Click on that. And after doing this, what is telling? Click here, EC2 instance connect, and click on connect. Yeah, that's all. So this is the easiest and the simplest way to connect to your server. The reason being is you don't have to install any additional tool like putty. You don't even have to enter any username or password, nothing like that. You can directly connect to your server. So if you are aware about basic Linux commands, you can try here. In case you are not aware, I can just give you brief idea. So suppose you type date, it will display current date and time. You can see here Tuesday, August 8th, 13:18. This is UTC time, which is basically 5.5 hour back from Indian time. India time is UTC plus 5:30, right? So this is the current date and time. If you want to display your username, you can type who am I without any space. Who am I? Press enter, and you will notice that it will display your username. So by default, when you are logging into your server, EC2-user is your default username. And that's why who am I, it's displaying EC2-user. You can even create some file, you can create some directory, you can copy the file, copy paste, cut paste, delete, anything you can do. And whenever we open the terminal, whenever we connect to any server, basically Linux based server, you are into a specific directory. And if you want to know which current directory you are in, you can type pwd. Okay, pwd stands for present working directory. So my present working directory is slash home slash EC2 user. You can change your working directory also. Suppose I will create a directory here. So I would say mkdir and I would say test dir. I am creating a directory with the name test underscore dir. If you want to see how many files and how many subfolders are available, you can type ls or you can type ls-ltr. That will display even more details. You can see here these first set of r, w, and x, right? R for D for directory. The first character is D. That stands for directory. R for read, W for write, X for execute. So read, write, execute permission. Then who is the user? Who is the owner of this file or directory? And there is a concept of group. Just like yesterday we talked about users and groups, but that was on IAM, right? It is on the server. On server you can have username and group name, then the date and time. This is size. 6 is nothing but size of your directory, and then the date and time when this directory was created. You can see here. Okay, so this one is about how to create a directory. There is a message from Babu that there is a some latency and video is not clear. I think some network issue is there. If I will switch my network, it may break the link. So let's wait for a few minutes. If it's still not clear, then definitely I need to switch to my another internet provider. I have two internet, so I will switch to another one. So can someone please confirm over the chat if you are able to hear me properly and if the video is clear? I am just starting a small poll just to get the idea about the audio and video quality. Please respond to that quickly so that we get to know about it. Okay, so if there is any delay or any quality loss in the video, that can be networking issue from my side, as well as that is possible that there can be networking issue from your side. It's possible from both sides. So let's quickly check. So I think only three people have voted till now. Two are saying that there is audio and video is clear, and one is saying that it's not clear. So it's like mixed type of response. Okay, so I'm closing the poll. It seems like majority of people are finding the audio and video clear. 70% people are saying yes, and 29% are saying no. So I'm coming back and we'll do few more things on the server. Okay, so one thing is there that I created one directory on the server, right? And I connected through the browser. But not everyone have access to your AWS console. It may be possible that you launched one server and you want to provide access to some third party team. You will provide the IP address to them and you may provide that key pair. If you remember, while launching the server, we created one key pair and I told you that that key pair will be used to connect to your server, right? So you can connect through the browser. That's the most convenient way, but there is another way to connect to your server and I will quickly show you that. So you need to install one tool on your Windows with the name Putty. It's very easy to install. Simply go to Google and type download Putty, and within 2 minutes, within 5 minutes, your Putty will be installed on your system. Okay. Now how to connect? We need two things. First thing is we need the IP address. So I will go back to my browser and will find the IP address. Okay. So if I go to my instance, you can see that there's a public IP address and there's a private IP address. Whenever you are connecting from outside, that means your personal laptop, right? So you will copy the public IP address from here. I'm copying it, Control C, I am coming back to the tool putty and paste the IP address. Okay. And in the beginning, you can type the username also. So the username is EC2 hyphen user at the rate your IP address. This is the way we connect to any remote server. Username at the rate IP address. Okay. Along with this, we need to provide that key pair because that's the key. Suppose there is a house that is locked and you want to get inside the house. That means you should have the key. Then only you can open the door and you can enter in the house. Same thing is in order to connect to the server, you will connect. You can see on the left side there's a connection, and you can see SSH is also there, right? Click on that SSH, and there is auth. Click on here auth, and then you can see this one, private key file for authentication. The file, the key pair we downloaded, right? This one you can click on browse, and from my downloads folder I will choose that file. This one, my test key pair, which we created today. The another one, my EC2 key pair, that was created as part of my previous batch, which I conducted in June. Okay. So Maruti Raj is saying that putty screenshot is not visible to us. Yeah, that is possible. Just give me a moment. Give me a moment. I will do the required changes in my setting, and it should be visible. Just give me a moment. Friend, just give me a moment. I'm not getting the option to display that in the live streaming. Just give me a moment. I'm checking it out. Okay. I hope it should be visible now. Please let me know as soon as you are able to see the putty. Okay, thanks Babu for the confirmation. So I will go back and explain again quickly. So what I did is, let me go back here. Okay, let me copy it. I will. Okay, so what I did is I opened the putty tool. The first thing you have to do is, in this window, host name or IP address, you have to provide your username EC2 hyphen user at the rate public IP address of your server. That's the first thing we have to do. Second thing is, we will click on connection here. Second option, click on SSH, and third option, click on auth. After clicking on auth, you will get this option, this one, private key file for authentication, right? So you will be clicking on browse, and from my downloads window, I will be selecting that file which we downloaded few minutes back. When we launch the server, we downloaded one key pair file, right? I'm selecting that from my downloads folder. And finally, click on open. Open means it will be trying to connect to your server. Okay, so you can click on accept. One window is coming, so you can click on accept, and you should be connecting to the server. Okay, seems like you are not able to see the server, so I will add it. Just give me a moment. I am quite new to this live streaming, so that's why. Give me a moment, I will quickly add. Okay, I hope you can see the terminal. Please someone confirm over the chat, and then we'll execute few commands on this terminal. Okay, so basically this terminal, right, it's nothing but we are connected to the same server. Earlier we connected through the browser. Now I am connected through this putty tool. The benefit is any user who may or may not have access to your AWS console, but as far as they have the key pair and they know the public IP address, they can connect to your server. And if you want to try some command, you can try here. Type date. It will display date and time. And if you remember, we created one directory with the name test underscore dir. Although I created from the browser, but ultimately you are logged in into the same server. It's like you uploaded a file from your phone to Google Drive. And after that, if you will open the Google Drive on your laptop, you will still find the file because your phone, your laptop, all are pointing to your same Google Drive account. So if I will do ls-ltr, you will notice that the directory is available here. And if you create any file from here, you can go back to the browser and you can check it over there also. So ultimately, these are the two ways to connect to your system, and you can perform anything. I am showing you only basics command, date command and pwd, creating a file, creating a directory, but you can do anything on the server. You have the full control over your server. Okay. So friends, with this one, we are done with our first topic, that was EC2. Now the Lambda function is still remaining. I will quickly show you how to create a Lambda function. Okay. So before that, I will start a small poll just to get to know whether you are clear on EC2 or not. So please vote on the poll, and after that we'll be starting with the next topic, that is Lambda. Okay, till now I have received 5 votes, and all 5 are saying that they are clear on EC2 concepts. That's good to know. Okay, so out of 7 people, I think all are saying yes. That's good. That means we are good to go ahead with the next topic, that is Lambda. Let me quickly open Lambda service. Lambda. Okay. So now, if you think like what Lambda is all about, I will quickly tell you the difference between EC2 and Lambda. EC2 is a server that will keep on running whether you do it on EC2 or you don't do it. It will keep on running until or unless you manually stop it, right? So before we proceed, let's stop it. That's very important thing, right? So what I will do is I will go back. Just give me a moment. Make it a habit that once you are done with your practice, stop your server. Although there is a limit of 750 hours, but still it's a good practice to stop the server as soon as you are done. So I will click on instances, and you can select your instance. Okay. And then you can click on instance state, and there is option stop instance reboot instance, and terminate. So reboot in case you want to restart, terminate means you will delete the server. If you terminate means any data, any code, anything on your server that will be lost. So make sure that you don't terminate, rather you simply stop it. Because if your instance is in stopped state, that won't be chargeable, right? That means we can rather stop our instance. Okay. So now what I will do is, this is in stopping state, as you can see here. After a few minutes, it will be in stopped state. So we can go ahead with Lambda now. Lambda. And you can read the tagline. Run code without thinking about servers. That's the major difference between EC2 and Lambda. EC2 will keep on running. Suppose your code is running only for 5 minutes, but your server is running for 2 hours. That means they will be charging you for 2 hours. And again, stopping and starting the server for few minutes, that's difficult, right? So this Lambda is serverless. You can see that. Run code without thinking about server. That means you don't have to worry about server. Rather, you worry about your code. You concentrate on writing your code. And whatever time your code will take to run. Suppose your code is very simple, very small. It hardly need 20 seconds to run. That means behind the scene, AWS will launch a small server. Okay. And it will run your code, and at the same time, as soon as your code execution is done, it will terminate that server behind the scene. You don't have to worry about launching or terminating. That's not your headache. That's why Lambda is a serverless service from AWS, and that's very good actually, because as a developer you can concentrate on the code and don't worry about on the infrastructure side. Don't worry about starting and stopping the server. Okay. So we'll quickly create our first Lambda function. So you can see that there is no Lambda function available. We'll click on create a function. Okay. There are many ways to create it. You can create from scratch. That means you will write your own code. Second option is use a blueprint. Blueprint means, suppose your purpose is to connect to S3, connect to database, connect to something else. If you have your use case available, AWS has pre-written program. Those are not complete. Those are like blueprint. That means to get started, it will at least provide you little bit of the code so that you don't have to start from zero, don't have to start from scratch. So you can go ahead with using a blueprint. And there's a third option, container image as well. That's a advanced option. To get started, because we are new to Lambda, to get started, we'll go ahead with the first option, author from scratch. After that, provide the function name. I would say my first Lambda function. You can give any meaningful name. I'm giving my first Lambda function. And then runtime. Runtime means what type of environment you want, what type of programming language you want to use for your Lambda function. So there's a big list. You can see here .NET, Go, Java 17, Node.js, Python, Ruby, and many more. Okay. Nowadays Python is more trending. Now Python is very common. So I will select Python latest, Python 3.10. Okay. And after that, you don't have to check many things. Simply click on create function. That's all. So what I did is I provided a meaningful name and I selected the programming language. That's all. And I clicked on create function. Now you have to write some code. You may not be expert in Python, but that's absolutely fine. I will start with very simple command, print command. You can type print command and give some meaningful message. And when you will run that Python code, the same message will be printed. That's all. It's very easy. Okay. So come down and you will see that there is few lines of code already written. So you can remove all the code. I will remove all these lines. Okay. Only this line number 3 is mandatory. DEF lambda handler event context. You cannot delete this line. This line is important because in your Lambda function, your execution will start from this. So you don't delete this line. Remaining everything you can delete. And now we'll add our first line of Python. I would say print in bracket, write something. I would say welcome to Python programming. Okay, I am writing some code. You can write many more things using Python. You can do anything. You can interact with S3. You can create a bucket. You can add data. You can delete data. You can download data. You can create IAM role policy, because we talked about only two services yesterday, S3 and IAM. But this Python code can do anything. Any other service in AWS, it can do. It can connect to a database. It can insert some data into a table, but you have to write the code accordingly. There is no magic. Code you have to write. What exactly you want to achieve, what is the purpose of your project, only you know that. So you have to write the code. Okay, as of now, to get started, this is our first Lambda function, and you can click on deploy. Deploy means it will save your current code. Would you like to test it? So you can click on test, and first time when you click on test, first time it will ask you to create a test event. That's very simple. You can give some test event name. I would say test event 1. Okay, and event sharing setting private. In case you are keeping it private, means this test event is available only for you. But suppose there are 5 developers in your team, and you want that whatever test event you are creating, other team member also should be able to use that. If that is the case, you can go with shareable. Otherwise, if you are alone working on a particular Lambda function, no other team member are involved in that, better to keep your test event private, so that it's not interfering with anyone else, and there are no chances that someone else will delete your test event or something like that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll click on save. So I created Lambda function, I have written some code, and I have created a test event also. Now I'm ready to test, and click on test now. So what I'm expecting is it should display that message, because that's the only line in our code, and that is what our expectation is. And you can see here, welcome to Python programming. Apart from that, there are a few more details, like when your Lambda started, what is the unique request ID, and when your Lambda ended. You can see here, duration is 1 to millisecond. The amount of time this code has taken to execute is not even 1 second, it's 1.21 millisecond. That's the thousand part of your second. There are 1000 millisecond in a second, right? So only 1.21 millisecond it has taken. Build duration 2 millisecond. It will not charge partially, it will charge you for 2 millisecond, and there is a limit of Lambda also, how many minutes of execution. I don't remember the amount, but it's a good limit actually. You can do your testing easily without any issue, and it won't charge you. You are still under limit. 2 millisecond is nothing. Okay, so this way you can execute your code manually, but sometime you would like to schedule your code. You say that my code is ready, I have tested it, it's working as expected, and I want to schedule this code to run every day at 8 p.m. Indian time. Suppose that is the case. That means you don't want to open the AWS console, then go to Lambda, then open the Lambda function, then click on test. You don't want to do it every day. Rather, you want to automate this process. Even that can be done. And how to do it? There is a service with the name Event Bridge. So I will duplicate this page so that we can look at the Lambda as well as how to schedule it. Okay, I am duplicating this, and will open Event Bridge service. Event Bridge. So Event Bridge service is used to schedule your Lambda function. We'll show you how to do that. On the left side, click on rules, and you will notice that there is no rule as of now. There are only 0 rules, but that's fine. We will create our rule. Click on create rule and provide a rule name. I would say trigger my Lambda function. Okay, so this provides a meaningful name. Description also is it's optional, but if you want to provide in detail, you can do that. And then the next is rule with an event pattern. You can You can schedule your Lambda two ways. One way is, suppose you say that if someone is copying some file into my S3 bucket. Yesterday we created the bucket, right? If someone is copying any file into my S3 bucket, at that point of time, immediately my Lambda function should trigger. Lambda function should run, because you are not aware when the customer will copy the file. They can copy in the morning, afternoon, midnight, any point of time. So you don't actually know where, at what point of time you should trigger your Lambda. In that case, you can go with event based scheduling. Other way, the simplest way is schedule. If you know that, okay, I want to run my Lambda at 8 p.m. every day, let's go with the schedule version and click on next. Okay. So you can provide one-time schedule or recurring schedule. If you just want to run for today or just for particular one day, you can go with this. If you want to run it every day, or not only every day, every hour, every minute, or you are saying that I want to run it every Tuesday at 7 p.m. IST. There's a lot of flexibility. So I will go with recurring schedule. And then you can provide some, if you are aware about cron expression is nothing but you have to provide like how many minutes, how many hours, how many days you want to run it. So I would say 5 minutes every hour, every day, every month, and every year. Okay, you know what it will do? It will run your code every 5 minutes. You see it here, 20:05. That means today at 8:05 it will run it first time, because I have selected minutes as 5. After that it will run 9:05, then it will run 10:05, 11:05, then midnight 05, like this. So every hour, every day, every month, every year it will run. And if you want to make it specific days of the week, you can also do that. If you want to run it every Tuesday and every Friday, that's also possible. To keep it simple, I will change this, not 5, because right now 7:16, I will make it 20. Okay, so you can see that 7:19:20. That means just few minutes from now it will run. Let's move ahead to the next one. Click on next. What is this? Flexible time window. Oh, not required. Click on next. Now the target, very important thing. At 7:20 you want to run something, but what? You have to provide the target. My target is nothing but my Lambda function. Where is Lambda? It's here. Click on Lambda and select your Lambda function. My first Lambda function. In case you have multiple Lambda function available, you can choose from the list. In my case, I have only one Lambda, so it's easy to select. And click on next. And that's all. I think we are good. Next and finish. Okay, so there were many more options, but you don't have to go through each and every option. On a high level, what I did is I provided a rule name. I provided the schedule, like what point of time, day, month, hour, minute, everything, when it should run. And the most important is, what is your target? Target is Lambda. And out of Lambda, I am selecting a particular Lambda function. So right now it's 7:18. I'm expecting that after 2 minutes, my Lambda will automatically execute. I will not click on test, it will automatically execute. Okay, so how do we verify like whether it will run on 7:20 or not? For that one, what you can do is you can monitor the logs. And how to monitor the logs? I will go back to the Lambda, and there is a tab of monitor. Monitor tab is there, right? Click on monitor tab, and there is an option view CloudWatch logs. So click on view CloudWatch logs. So once you click on view CloudWatch log, you can see that it will display only one execution of your Lambda, and that happened at 19:11, 7:11 p.m. IST, right? So that happened around 8 minutes back. That was the manual execution. If you remember, I clicked on test and then it executed my code and it displayed that message, right? It is that execution. But now I'm expecting one more execution because I'm expecting that 720 it should automatically trigger. Okay, so right now it's 7:19. I will wait for one more minute, and once your one more log will be available, then I will show you the particular log. Okay, so let's wait. In the meantime, in case you're having any doubt, you can post on the YouTube chat. Otherwise, we should good. So I just need 5 more minutes and then we will be closing the call for today. Let me refresh this because it's already 7:20. It may take few seconds. We'll wait for few seconds and then we'll try again. It takes some time to store your logs into CloudWatch service. This is another service actually. CloudWatch service is holding the logs for all other AWS services. We have a separate class for CloudWatch, but for today, I will not go into detail because we are just checking the Lambda log. So I will click on refresh button again, and you can see now 720, 1920 log are also available because it has executed the code. You can click on this link and it will display the entire log. You can see here. Welcome to Python programming. Okay. So there are many ways to execute your Lambda. You can test your Lambda manually. You can schedule your Lambda schedule based. And third type is you can trigger your Lambda based upon some event. If someone is deleting any file from your bucket, you can trigger the Lambda. If someone is copying any file to your bucket, you can trigger the Lambda. In case you want to know Lambda in more detail, I have the entire 1 hour of Lambda class from my previous batch, which you can explore on my YouTube channel. So in case you haven't subscribed yet, I would recommend to subscribe to my channel and you may find many more videos in detail and you can explore them. The specific topic you want to explore. Suppose you understood whatever I explained today about Lambda, but you want to learn many more things about Lambda function. You can go back to my channel and you will find the previous month, that is June basically, June 2023 batch. You will find a separate dedicated 1 hour of class for Lambda and you can explore it. Okay. So friends, with this one, I am done with today's class. In today's class, we talked about two things, EC2 and Lambda. So in case you are having any doubts till now, you can ask me. Otherwise, we are good to close today's call. So I'm quickly starting a poll just to get some idea, and then we should be closing the call for today. In case you have any doubt, right, you can any point of time ask during the chat, or even after that, you can ask in the WhatsApp group. I would be happy to answer your questions. So there's a question from Babu, and he's asking that CloudWatch or any other monitor service will be charged. No, there is no charges for these services. So basically, for learning purpose, right, you can do anything and that won't be charged. But as soon as you are done, right, as soon as you are done, please stop your service. Right, Lambda I don't need to stop because Lambda is running for a few milliseconds and it will be automatically stopped. So nothing to worry about Lambda. So I will keep on telling you whenever I will talk about any service. So these are completely under the limit. Okay. So friends, that's all for today. I am closing now. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you.